G'day everyone, Teal here from TM Saddlery and Bushcraft. Today we're going to make a bow drill set. So for that we're going to need a few components, and it's very easy to do. You can do it with a single Swiss Army knife with a saw and a knife. Ideally you can have a fixed blade knife like this and a folding saw. Certainly makes the job a lot easier. Right. The componentry we're going to need for this is, I have about 1.20 m, so about 4 foot of tarred bank line. This is number 6 tarred bank line, otherwise known as mariner's line. Not to be confused with mason line. Mariner's line is tarred, and mariner's line is high vis and stretches. But anyway, this is spliced at one end. The reason I use tarred bank line is it's a little bit sticky. It's got the tar on it and it just grips the spindle a little bit easier. So that's why I particularly prefer it. You can use paracord, you can use natural fibres, you can use a whole bunch of different things. But anyway, so about 1.20 m of tarred bank line, a spindle of some description. This particular one is made of lantana, and it's a noxious weed up here in Queensland, and it's a noxious weed anywhere in Australia. This one's about as thick as my thumb and a bit over a hand's breadth long. I have it tapered at one end and rounded at the other. I'll explain why later on. We're lucky enough, this is an old farm that we're on at the moment, so we've got a bit of old ironbark fence post, and this one's had a hole cut into it. The reason I use ironbark or a hardwood, you can use a shell or a rock or something like that, the bearing block sits on the top and pushes down. So you don't want this to burn through, so the harder this is, the better. And then I've got a bit of tobacco tree or tobacco bush that's been split, and you can see the pith line down the middle there. I find that lantana, being a very soft timber, and also tobacco tree, both of them are noxious weeds or noxious pests in Australia, so I don't have an issue with cutting them down and using them for this in any way, shape or form. So I find that it has very long fibres when it burrs out, and it works quite well for a friction fire. It builds up an ember very quickly. And then I think this one's black wattle, but just a stick of about a thumb thickness or longer, or thicker, sorry. And ordinarily, I usually have it going to about the centre of my chest, from the tip of my finger to the centre of my chest. You can have it shorter if you like. This one's got a slight bend in it. Hopefully you can see that in the camera, a slight bend. You can do it dead straight, you can have ones with bigger bends. I find if they've got a slight curve, that works best for me. But have a play around with it, find out what works for you and what you like. Right, I'll put all this together and then we'll bring you back. Okay, so while I was resetting the camera, I found a slightly better stick. This one's got a little bit more of a curve in it, and it's got this really cool vine wrapped around it. So yeah, I thought this was pretty cool. All I've done is I've just notched the ends. Hopefully you can pick that up there. I've put the splice loop around one end, and then with a timber hitch at this end, I've tied that off, and we're a little bit loose. We've got a little bit of play in it, as you can see there. Now, once that spindle goes around, it'll tighten up, but if that loosens, what we can do is, I'll come up here and show you a little bit closer. Press up with our index finger and down with our thumb, and see how tight that goes? It's loose there, and tighten. So when we're using the spindle backwards and forwards, I can tighten that up whilst I'm using it. And that's very important because you don't want to be wasting energy. Now, I've gone through and I've just scored out a little bit of a hole there. Hopefully you guys can see that. And I'm going to just warm the board up, or marry the spindle up to the board itself so it's the same shape. And that's quite important to marry those up, because otherwise you'll just be expelling a lot of energy. Now, same thing again with everything, you do it once right. Now, technique is a really, really important thing. So, standing directly above it, wrist locked into your knee, so that keeps nice and straight. I'm going this way, so I want to make sure that nothing is in the way, either way, backwards and forwards. And nice, even, long strokes. You see a little bit of smoke coming off that. It's starting to wear in. Now, hopefully the camera can pick that up. A little bit of smoke coming off that. So now they're perfectly married in. So they sit like that. So what I'll do next is I'll take the saw and I'll cut a little V-notch in there, and we'll come back to it. So I've just cut my V-notch in there, and I'll bring it up so you can see that. I haven't gone all the way to the center, but I've gone fairly close in, and that's what it looks like. So now we're ready to go. I'll get this camera readjusted and I'll build the bird's nest, and we'll see how long it takes us to get a fire going with this kit now. So we've burnt that in, we've cut our V-notch. I've got a leaf here that we're going to use as a catch mat or a welcome pad. I've heard it called before, where it welcomes the coal and catches that. So we've also got our bird's nest here. Now, this bird's nest is made of cabbage tree fibre, or cabbage palm fibre, and Scotch thistle. We've also got a little bit of bulrush in there as well. So, we'll see how long this takes us. Same thing again, I'm making sure that I've got a nice clean space for a bow strike. Standing over everything, I've got good body position. Starting to smoke a bit already. I can see the coal or the ember building up, plenty of smoke. I'll give it a little bit of effort, a little bit of downward pressure, and really build that up big. Now, at this point in time, you can relax a little bit. So I'm letting the wind come from behind me and blow that. And you can see what I was talking about before about those really long fibres. So hopefully the glowing embers picked up from that camera there. I'll pop that into our bird's nest. And then just slowly fold it in. And blow on it. You can actually hear that crackling away in there. And there you have it. Fire by friction. Thanks heaps, guys. Have fun. See you next time.